you very much for tuning in. If you like old vintage trains, please subscribe. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Ives 1122. This engine was designed by Ives, came out in O gauge in 1929. It was the O gauge version of their standard gauge 1134, which came out in 1928. Beautiful die-cast engine. Quite a step ahead from the previous standard gauge steam engines, which in Ives' case were basically just large castings of cast iron. And then Lionel came out with their tin plate sheet metal bent ones with die-cast frames. But the Ives 1134 was quite a shocking and stark, lovely designed engine in its design. Ives was bankrupt at the time in 28, so they didn't have a whole lot of money to develop the O gauge one. It took the next year, 1929, for them to come out with it. And you can see they went from a high headlight here in 28 to a center headlight in 1929 on the O gauge version. And then in 1930, they continued with the center headlight for their standard gauge. But this is supposed to be a model of the Baltimore and Ohio President Washington, which is a Pacific engine. And you can clearly see a center set of drivers are missing for Pacific. This is an Atlantic as it designed. However, the fact that this was a nicely designed engine and had possibilities in the 30s, when a lot of tin platers were going into model making and modification, one very clever gentleman decided to convert it into a Pacific here. We'll see it run here in a minute, but you can see they corrected the issue with the Atlantic, turning it into a Pacific. And then this one, which we just saw running, still an Atlantic, but has quite a different look. They replaced the drivers with American Flyer drivers, a rear truck with a Flyer truck, and then a high headlight from a Lionel. So it's a Lionel, Ives, and American Flyer all combined here. Train conversions were so popular in the 30s, people trying to get away from the tin plate look and having all the engines look the same, to making unique pieces. Lewis Hurst, at the ripe old age of 18, made a book on it. Here we go, Model Railroad Conversions, and it shows how to basically convert your tin plate into more scale or models. The dean of model conversions was Dilbert Henniger, who showed in great detail in this book how to convert all sorts of Lionel tin plate engines into more modern type engines, less tin plate. But here we have Dilbert here working on his workbench here and some of the engines that he converted. You can see some of the motor conversions that he did, being quite creative. They go into great detail on how to convert a Lionel 260, which is quite common. And you can turn it into a Mikado or a Consolidation or a Pacific. These are some of the engines that Dilbert did. So, of course, for the tin plate purist, this is sacrilegious to do this to a tin plate engine. But if you have an open mind, you can see how engines could be converted with a little bit of effort and turned into quite something unique. So we'll put the Pacific on here and run that for a little bit.